locally owned Good Karma brand station. It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, alongside former Packer Bryan Bulaga. Here's Alex Strofe.
The best 60 minutes of your life on a Monday, Victory Monday, presented by Palermo's Pizza. Alex Strofe in for the Emmy Award winner Homer for the next couple of days. I don't know what he's doing. Vacationing? Who knows? He'll be back with you Thursday. I'm with you in the meantime. Chris Larson, Pebble running the show as always. And I've noticed Homer has carried over his opening statement on Green Bay game night to the next couple of days on the program with his various characters that join him. Today, of course, the former first-round pick in 2010, the Super Bowl champion, the legendary right tackle for the Green Bay Packers, our good friend Bryan Bulaga, with me today on the Homer Hour. Bryan, I guess the floor is yours, my friend. Your opening statement following the Packers' 30-27 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, advancing to 6-2.
Yeah, well, good evening. It's great to be with you. I know Homer's probably golfing or doing something, so it's great to be with you. But listen, I don't know how much of an opening statement I really have after the game. And I feel a lot like I did after the Rams game, after watching this game. And while I'm absolutely thrilled to get a win, especially with what happened to Jordan Love, and we don't really know the extent of that. Maybe Rob, who we talk to later on, will have a little bit of a better idea of what's going on there and how severe that is and exactly what it is, because when it happened on the field, I thought it was knee. Now they reported it as his groin. So, like, there's some things that, you know, I'm concerned about and questions that I have, but Rob will be able to answer that. But I walked away from this one, like I said, like the Rams game, a little just disappointed with how they played. Like, overall, like, getting a win is hard in the NFL. I don't care if it's against the 2-5 Jags or against, you know, the 5-1, you know, Houston Texans. Like, it's hard to win in the NFL. And I know that better than anyone. I've went in these types of games and they ended up exactly like it ended. And I told you that on the pregame show that these are the games you go into, like we did against the Jags, and if you let them hang around in the fourth quarter, it's going to end up a 3-point game. And that's what ended up taking place. And we talked about it yesterday when the line changed to 3.5. Vegas knew. I know how they know. I don't know, but Vegas knew. And I just look at this team and you see them from week to week in their play style. Like, you saw the play style against Houston, albeit that, you know, Jordan Love had a couple interceptions and turnovers, but if he doesn't have those, I think we roll the Texans. And they physically beat up Houston on both sides of the ball. And that's a play style that I enjoyed watching. And I know Matt LaFleur enjoyed watching on tape the following day. I'm not sure you can say the exact same thing about this tape. Because, like, when you let a team like Jacksonville hang around like that, there's mistakes that are being made throughout the game, right? There's things there's breakdowns. I haven't watched the L22. I only watched the sideline copy for a second time because, like I said, I'm on dad duty these days, or at least this week. So I haven't had a chance to do it. But, like, there's certain, I'm sure there were breakdowns in protection and breakdowns in the run game and breakdowns in pass rush. So, like, things that Matt LaFleur at this point in the season wants to be cleaned up, and especially wants to be cleaned up against a 2-5 football team that they're definitely better than. And I'm not saying that they can't make it right, because I think they certainly can. And I will stick by what I said earlier. This is to me, and I think they'll get there, but this is all of a 10-win plus team, in my opinion. And they got the guys to do it, and they're quality enough to do it. But if you play like that against Detroit, we're not going to like what we watch on TV. Like, no. I just, there's no way. So I know, listen, and I hate to be hard after a win, like, cause I get it, man. It's hard to win, but when you go on the road against these teams, you need to beat them up. And you need to send messages to not just create a message in the locker room that you're a dominant football team and we got the right guys in here, but you needed to send a message to the Lions, because the Lions sent one back to us for what they did against Tennessee. They sent a very loud message. That's 2 weeks in a row now that they are, or 3 weeks really, Minnesota in this one. Hey, we're the team. We are the team. And so they're going to correct what they need to correct today at 12:65. I know they will. I know the coaches are on it. Now this comes down to what we talked about in the pregame. This is a health game right now. Who are the healthy bodies? And I guess that's what we can address as we go on. But again, I'm going to end it with this. I am never going to be mad about a win. And it could be by a point. It does, a win's a win. I just want to see when we go to these teams like the Rams, like Jacksonville, that we just dominate a team. We just dominate them like we did the Cardinals. And the Cardinals go get a win the other day. So, maybe the Cardinals are better than what we think. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's not for me to judge at this point. But I do know the Jags are not a good football team. So, I do know that for a fact. For the expectations that I have for the Green Bay Packers, it's higher than what we saw. We'll just put it that way. And that's not a knock. That's just with the players that they have, I expect a ton from them. And that's really all it is.
All right. Really good opening statement from Bryan Bulaga. Your questions, your comments, anything you've got for Bulaga, we will open the phone lines and the text lines, 800-990-3776, as we continue to unpack this ugly win, the 30-27 win yesterday over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm Alex Strofe in for Homer tonight here on the Homer Hour. Okay, so a ton to dive into of what you just said. Number one, it was an ugly win, and you should never apologize by any means for winning in the NFL, but clearly we have very high expectations for this Packers team, rightfully so. They're still 6-2. They are in a much better position than they were at this time last year, right? They were a 2-5 team at this point last year. So this is what expectations carry, and they've lived up to them in terms of their record. But when it comes to the terms of their performance, it's only that Cardinals game I can circle, Brian, and go, yes, you guys played complimentary football throughout. Yes, you played a complete 60 minutes. Yes, you minimized mistakes and you capitalized on the mistakes the other teams made. That's the only game of the 8 they've played thus far where I can really circle it and go, hey, that happened here. You could maybe make the argument for a team like Tennessee where they won by 16, but Tennessee stinks, and Jacksonville stinks, and they didn't look like they stunk yesterday, right? And injuries certainly didn't help both defensively and obviously losing Jordan Love on the offensive side. So all in all, it was a disappointing win, but it was still a win. Now, when it comes to this weekend, you mentioned Detroit, and they've put out several statements the last few weeks. 3 of their last 4 games, they have scored at least 40 points. They have scored over 30 in all 4 of their last 4 games. That is the best team in the NFL. I don't care about records. Throw Kansas City's record out the window. Detroit is the best team in the NFL. I'm with you. And whether or not you have Jordan Love this weekend, which we don't know yet, and we'll hear more from Rob when he joins us at 5:30, it's going to take a lot to beat Detroit, who's red hot right now. And, I don't want to overread it. I don't want to overreact to what we saw yesterday and act like it'll carry over. But the performance you saw yesterday is clearly, you're going to get whooped by Detroit if the performance we saw yesterday is duplicated next week. Just real quick, I want to know, because Jordan Love leaves the game with a groin injury. Malik Willis has looked good in the 2.5 games he's played this year. You're not confident Malik Willis can lead the charge and win against the Detroit Lions, I would imagine.
So I'll put it this way. Nothing is impossible, right? I never say never is never in the NFL, because I think anything can happen.
Sure.
And I know this is cliche on any given Sunday, but I truly believe that any team could go out and beat anybody. We almost saw it against Green Bay and Jacksonville. We literally almost just saw it. No one had Jacksonville. I mean, I get the line moved to 3.5 late, but I didn't think it was going to be that, even close to that. So while I don't think anything is impossible, I certainly don't know if we can play the style that, as of right now, where Malik Willis is as a quarterback, if we can play that style for 60 minutes against Detroit. Because what we've done with Malik Willis when he's been quarterback, we've done what Detroit does to teams. They play bully ball. Yeah, the first game we ran the ball, 47 times against Indy? And threw it for 12. Well, I don't think that's going to get it done against Detroit. I don't think you can throw the ball 12 times against Detroit and beat them. You're going to, because we're one place where Detroit can be got is in the secondary, but you have to block them up front to be able to do it. And you have to have the quarterback that can attack that defense in the secondary. And we have the wide receivers that can do it. I know we do. And I think we have an offensive line that can hold up in pass protection. So that leads me to, can Malik Willis do that 30 to 35 times a game against Detroit? And I'm not sure I'm 100% there yet with him against that quality of an opponent. Yes, he threw for, 30 times against Tennessee. I get it. He played good. I'm not taking anything away from the guy. He played really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kudos to you. You showed you can play, but this is a different caliber football team. And when you're going against the Lions, like you mentioned before, they've scored 30 points in 4 straight games. There's a chance you're trying to match scores now, right? And that's a different feel to a football game when you're having to constantly match scores with a high-powered team. So obviously I would feel a lot better if Jordan Love was playing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know the health of Jordan Love. And it worries me a little bit. It really does.
Yeah.
And not the fact that, Malik Willis may have to play. That doesn't worry me. I'm worried about Jordan Love because he hurts the knee, and now he hurts the groin on the same knee, and at least that's what it appeared. So, when these things start to happen, because believe me, I've dealt with this. When you injure a knee, an MCL, you're doing so much to strengthen one area, and one area maybe gets neglected a touch. And believe me, the trainers do everything they possibly can to make sure you are strengthening the entire leg. But listen, man, we're not robots. It's not like turning a screw and you're tightening or strengthening that muscle at the same time. These are human beings. So there's the body will protect itself in certain ways, and then certain muscle groups get a little bit weaker, some get stronger. And that's what I'm concerned about. So I just want to make sure if Jordan Love goes back out on that field against this team, he is good to play.
Yeah.
That's what I'm the most worried about.
No, I'm right there with you. They've got the bye week coming up after the Lions. So if he can sit for 20 days, I think it is from today to when they play the Bears after the bye, let him sit 20 days if that's going to fully heal him, and see what Malik Willis can do against Detroit. We'll continue to unpack that upcoming matchup with Detroit. It's a big one on Sunday at Lambeau Field. First place NFC North game on the line. I see the phone line starting to fill up. Jeff, Diane, I see you. Hang on. Next segment, your questions for Bryan Bulaga. Your way into the Homer Hour. 800-990-3776. 800-990-ESPN. Open phone lines. Get your questions in. Talk to the future Packers Hall of Famer, the Super Bowl champion, Bryan Bulaga. Your questions are coming up next right here on the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
We've got some delays westbound 94, pretty much coming out of the 16th Street area all the way to Mitchell Boulevard, and then back on the brakes from the zoo to the county line. Earlier accident just past the county line has been cleared out of the way. Do have delays on southbound 894 from about Oklahoma Avenue down and around the Hale interchange to Forest Home. There was an earlier disabled vehicle right at the Forest Home off-ramp. That's been cleared as well. And then some delays heading through the Marquette on 43 southbound all the way down onto 4394 down to the KK River crossing. And checking the TMJ4 Storm King forecast tonight, partly cloudy, isolated thunder showers. Very mild and breezy, a low of 58. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, windy and warm, a high of 80. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
It doesn't matter if it's your first betting slip ever or just the first one of the week. We've got your Potawatomi sportsbook picks covered. Tune in Wednesdays to the Weekly Wager with Greg Matzik, Ben Brust, and Jen Latta.
If someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything, you take it.
The Weekly Wager, Wednesday nights at 6, right here on 94.5 ESPN, the Wisconsin On Demand app, and ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel.
This political season, you'll hear a lot of noise. But this November, Walker Media Agency has the expertise and team to improve your marketing, advertising, and IT. Start at WMA2024.com. Paid for by Matt Walker and Walker Media Agency.
Hauntingly good deals await you at the Cunis Auto Group's October Spooktacular Savings Event. There will be no tricks, only treats.
Trick or treat!
On the price you'll get on your next new or pre-owned vehicle. Prices will be slashed at your nearby Milwaukee Metro Region Cunis Auto Group dealership. America's best-selling cars, trucks, and SUVs from both Buick and GMC. All marked down with October Spooktacular Savings discounts and incentives, including their entire inventory of pre-owned vehicles. Choose from over 1,500 on lot or online. There'll be dozens of spooktacular service specials and everything from brakes, tires to oil changes. Plus, with any test drive in October, you'll be entered to win free gas for a year, with drawings held every Friday throughout the month at your nearby Milwaukee Metro Region Cunis dealerships in both Greenfield and Oak Creek. Halloween savings aren't just slashed, they're chainsawed at the Cunis Auto Group's October Spooktacular Savings Event going on now. For additional event info, go to shopcunis.com.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
It's time to start thinking about the holiday season, and the Corners of Brookfield has you covered to check off everyone on your list. Head to the Corners for all of your gifting needs and find something for everyone at any of their 30-plus restaurants and retailers. Immerse yourself in the joyful experience of shopping this holiday season, because the perfect gift is right around the corners. Create a great, well-rounded gift for anyone and get a Corners gift card. Make your shopping list this holiday season, and don't forget to check it twice. Visit thecornersofbrookfield.com.
Every child deserves a safe, loving, and permanent home. Help the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption find families for children who've lingered in foster care the longest. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Victory Monday on ESPN Milwaukee, brought to you by Palermo's Pizza, Wisconsin's hometown pizza, with delicious brands like Palermo's, Connie's, Urban Pie, and Screamin' Sicilian. Palermo's has your game day covered. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer. It's the Homer Hour. Alex Strofe, former Packer, Super Bowl champ Bryan Bulaga, hanging out with you, unpacking what was an interesting win. But a win is a win for the Packers, 30-27 yesterday over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go to the phone lines. Jeff in Muskego, seen you've been holding on. Appreciate you holding on. You're on with Bryan Bulaga. What do you got, Jeff?
Hey, what's up, guys? Appreciate you taking my call. Hypothetical question for you. Let's say Jordan is out for a while and Malik gets hot. He gets really hot. He runs the table. They get through the playoffs. They make it to the Super Bowl. Jordan's available. Who do you start? I'll hop off and listen. Thanks, guys.
I mean, when you talk about a hypothetical, he took that to another level. That was the hypothetical of hypotheticals.
He took it all the way to the Super Bowl. Well, I mean, listen, I'll talk in that type of hypothetical. If he's got you all the way there, he's going to start. Like, I mean,
it's Nick Foles stuff, right? I mean, that's the answer.
Yeah. I mean, if he took you all the way there and Jordan Love happened to be healthy that final game, I mean, Malik Willis is starting.
There's a key word, though. Key word, hypothetical. That's not happening.
Yeah. Like, listen, like, I don't think, and listen, we don't know, right? Like, and that's why when we get Rob on in the next segment, it'll be good to hear. I can't imagine this injury, a groin injury, holding him out too long, if any. We'll see. Obviously, no one knows the severity of it, or he knows his body better than anybody. But I don't see it holding him out too long. So, like, I'm not sure we'll see an absence of 4 to 5 weeks on this. Again, I'm not a doctor. I understand how the Packers doctors operate. They are conservative, and which sometimes the players hate. I knew I did as a player, but listen, Doc McKenzie knows what he's doing. He's done multiple surgeries on me, so I know he's good. So they know what they're doing. They're going to do what's best for him, and so we'll just have to wait and see. That's the type of, unfortunately, with these soft tissue injuries, it's a wait and see type of game.
Yeah, they're unique, but here's what Matt LaFleur said. Not that he's going to commit to anything, but he essentially said, he's day to day. If he can go this week, he'll go. Right? That was the summary of Matt LaFleur's comments on the Jordan Love groin injury today. So kind of a non-answer, but the good news that's been leaked to the NFL Network is it sounds like a short-term injury. It's nothing too severe, nothing too serious. So Love might miss this week's game against the Lions. After that, you have the bye, and then following that, you go to Chicago. But that is 20 days from today, if my math is correct on that. So you've got some time to let this thing heal if Love is to not go this weekend against Detroit. And even if he is, as long as he doesn't aggravate it too much, you still get 2 weeks off at that point, right? It's 14 days from Sunday to their next game. So that is the good news in all of this, is the bye is built in. You have some time to heal up. And that's not just a Jordan Love thing either, Blue. And I think it's important to acknowledge the other injuries that flared up yesterday. Evan Williams, who's had a great rookie year at safety, left yesterday's game. Jair Alexander, your top corner, left yesterday's game. And Josh Jacobs left towards the end of the game. Seems like he's all right, but also leaving that game is Josh Jacobs. So, you made a joke yesterday on Green Bay Game Day, our pregame show we do together, 3 hours before every Packers game. I had asked Rob Demovsky about how healthy this team was, and you made a comment about me jinxing it. I think you may have been right on that. I might have jinxed this, Brian, because they did not leave that game quite as healthy as they entered that game yesterday.
Yeah, no, and listen, I get the bye week is coming up, which they need.
Big time.
I mean, every team needs it going into, what are they going to be going into week 9? Every team needs it. And I think a bye is coming at a good time for them. That was always the first thing I looked at on the schedule, was when the bye week was, because you never wanted an early one, because what's the point of having a bye week in week 4 or 5? Like, that's a waste. But yeah, I mean, let's just put it this way. Like, this isn't the week that I don't want Evan Williams and Jair in the secondary. Like, this isn't it. This isn't the week that those guys, when Evan Williams is so good in the pass and against the run, not against this rushing attack and passing attack, not against for Jair to take one side of the field away against this Lions offense. Like, I hope they can both play. I really do, because they're, as we've seen from Jair over a long period of time, very good. Very, very good shutdown corner, eliminates the side of the field. And what we're seeing from Evan Williams as a rookie, this dude's going to be a stud.
Yeah.
Like, and he is a playmaker. So, for him to miss, it's just, it's hard to compound these injuries. And then you look at up front why it's not 100%. And I get the bye weeks coming, but like, when you go into these big divisional games, and we essentially have 2 back-to-back with the bye week separating it. When you go into these big divisional games, and it's fortunate and it's unfortunate. It's fortunate for us as fans that the NFC North is as good as it is, because we get to watch great games in the division, which hasn't been this way for a long time. And it's unfortunate for them, because every single one of these games matters, and you're going to get a good game every single time from a division opponent. And that was never the case when I was playing. Like, it would, you would get a good game maybe for a half from maybe the Lions when they were bad, or from the Bears when they were bad. But by the end of the third, fourth quarter, this thing, you felt really good about coming away with a victory. The NFC North is different, and these teams are good right now, and they need to have a full team available. And I don't mean like, they have an extra guys to fill. No, I mean the full starting complement of guys to go into these big games. And we'll see where the injury report lands on Sunday, but it doesn't look like we're going to have that at this point. And we don't know, but just from looking at it from far out, it doesn't look like we will.
No, you're totally right on that. Let's go 300 miles north, shall we? John in Minocqua, you're on the Homer Hour with Bryan Bulaga. What do you got, John?
Yeah, did you look at the stats of the Lions' big win? I mean, the total receiving yards.
Yeah, they had 229 yards offensively, thanks to 4 turnovers from Tennessee. To your point, John.
Mm-hmm. That was my point. Is I think they could be had because it wasn't their offense.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
Listen, I get that, and I understand exactly where you're coming from, and it's a good point. The only thing is, like, they got it on tape, right? Like, the offense is on tape. Like, they've been putting up gaudy stats and gaudy rushing numbers and things like that the whole season. So, like, I understand. And listen, you make another good point. It was the Titans, and, like, I get that, but it's hard to hang that type of number on any NFL team. It's very hard to do that. And they did it, and they made it look really easy. And the part that is also concerning is they did it on special teams, right? Like, everybody got in on the fun for the Lions. And, like, when a team like that is clicking on every cylinder, man, like, it's difficult. It's a difficult team to go against. And, like, so I understand what you're saying, but the offense didn't have to have 500 yards. They didn't have to do that. That's not the way the game's set up.
And they still scored 52 points. Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure if they needed to, they could have. I'll just put it that way.
Jared Goff threw for 85 yards, Brian, and still 3 touchdowns somehow, right? I mean, that's how effective they are. And yes, obviously, when you give a team as good as the Lions the football free 4 different times, they're going to capitalize the way they did. I think they had 35 points at halftime of that game, right? I mean, it was over before it even began.
Yeah, it was done. I remember watching the highlights at halftime, like, well, is there such thing as a mercy rule? Because this could get to 60. Like, this could be 60 if they don't throw that in. So
and they weren't far off, and they didn't score in the fourth quarter, right? I mean, they finished 52-14 was the final of that one against the Titans yesterday, who, by the way, are very bad, right? We saw the Malik Willis-led Packers beat up on them about a month ago now. But, yeah, I mean, the Lions are that good, and that's how good of a football team you are playing this weekend. They have the best 1-2 punch in the league in their backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Jared Goff is certainly no slouch, and they have some really good receiving options, St. Brown, Laporta, leading the way for them. So, it's a scary matchup, especially if you're down your quarterback. The hope is Jordan Love is superhuman, and he heals up, and that soft tissue issue is figured out by Sunday, and he can go out and gunsling it a little bit, but we will see.
Yeah, because I do want to say this. If Jordan Love's able to play and he's healthy, and you know what I mean? Like, he's good to play and he can do what he is good at, and that's obviously throwing from the pocket, but also being able to maneuver the pocket and do things like that. If he's able to do that, I think the Packers can win. Like, I really do. Like, this isn't me saying that there's no way, even with Jordan Love, Green Bay. No, I do. I think Green Bay has a football team that can beat the Lions. Now, I get this Lions is a different version from last year's Lions, as is the Green Bay Packers, and I completely get that. But, like, I'm not sitting here saying Green Bay's a slouch and they have no chance. I'm certainly not saying that. So, a lot depends on if Jordan Love is healthy, because I think Green Bay at full health, which we see right now, like I said earlier, may not be the case, but at full strength, like, I expect it to be a football game, man. Like, I don't expect this thing I don't expect it to look like what Tennessee got done to them. So, I understand what we're saying, how good Detroit is, but this isn't taken away from the Green Bay Packers. I think they're a good football team. But as we said, you got to play better than what you did against Jacksonville to beat Detroit. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're right on that. All right, looking forward to this conversation. 2 great football minds. Bryan Bulaga, not me. Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, joins us coming up next. I'm gonna give you the homer treatment next segment, Blue. I'm just gonna let you guys cook.
No, you don't have to.
I'm gonna kick the feet up.
No, you don't have to do that.
I'm gonna kick the feet up. I'm gonna listen to Rob Demovsky and Bryan Bulaga talk all things Packers football. That's next right here on the Homer Hour.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Still seeing some slowdowns on the bypass heading south from National Avenue down and around the Hale to about Forest Home. So give yourself that extra time. Eastbound 94 slowing from just east of 76th Street all the way to about 27th. The westbound side is going to be a little backed out from 16th Street out to Mitchell Boulevard. And then some delays along southbound 41 from Hampton Avenue all the way down past Capitol Drive. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight. Partly cloudy, isolated thunder showers, very mild and breezy, a low of 58. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, windy and warm, a high of 80. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
What does the skeleton say before dinner? A bon appetit. And why did the ghost go to the bar? For the booze. Yeah, Halloween jokes can be corny. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Since 1960, we've provided the most spooktacular selection and savings in town. From skull-shaped vodka bottles and pumpkin cream liqueurs to adult trick-or-treat bags and your favorite seasonal wines and beers. We've got the spirits to get you in the spirit. Combine our selection with everyday low prices and 2 convenient locations, and Discount Liquor is the one trick-or-treat stop you can't skip. Discount Liquor, locally owned and family operated with 2 locations, in Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma, and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow and Maine. See all of our specials at discountliquorinc.com.
Discount Liquor.
They say seeing is believing, and when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sports book, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
When the power goes out, your life is disrupted. Heat, air conditioning, refrigeration, phones, all gone. Be prepared for the next outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Power your life with a generator from Adams, Wisconsin's #1 rated Generac dealer. Adams provides sales, installation, maintenance, and 24/7 service from all locations. Learn why Adams is your best choice in providing power peace of mind. Visit adamspower.com today.
Fall football Sunday in Green Bay. It just doesn't get much better. With offices in Milwaukee and Green Bay, Ticket King is your local and most trusted source to buy Green Bay tickets. Experience the huge matchup this Sunday against Detroit by visiting theticketking.com or call 414-273-6007. Follow Ticket King on Facebook and Instagram. Don't wait. Get tickets for Sunday's monumental divisional tilt with Detroit at theticketking.com.
I'm very familiar with Gruber Law offices because they're always out in the community.
Gruber Law offices are known to be honest, hardworking.
They're always involved in our neighborhoods.
Gruber Law offices make our community a better place.
They are the best. For nearly 40 years, Gruber Law offices has helped people throughout Wisconsin. If you're injured, we're here to help. One call, that's all.
Wisconsin would not be the same without Gruber Law offices.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Victory Monday on ESPN Wisconsin, brought to you by Palermo's Pizza, Wisconsin's hometown pizza, with delicious brands like Palermo's, Connie's, Urban Pie, and Screamin' Sicilian. Palermo's has your game day covered. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer. The Homer Hour, Alex Stroh, former Packer, Super Bowl champ Bryan Bulaga hanging out with you. But this is the segment where I kick my feet up, I step aside, and Bryan Bulaga welcomes in ESPN NFL Nation reporter Rob Demovsky. Go ahead, Blue.
Rob, how we doing this evening?
I'm great. Are you in a golf cart or what are you doing?
No, I'm in a parking lot at kids' soccer practice.
See, you're officially a media person now. Like I've written stories from basketball gyms, from airport gate areas. Yeah, you're full on media now, Bulaga. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I just because I got to be at a soccer practice doesn't mean I can't fulfill my obligation. So that's that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But all right, let's just get to it, right?
Okay.
Update on Jordan Love, update on Evan Williams, update on Josh Jacobs. Where are we at with those three guys? Because they're all, we'll just say, quite important.
Yeah, and don't forget Jair also.
And Jair, yes, correct.
Yeah. So let's just go with QB1. The MRI showed nothing more than a strain, I was told. This is a quote from a source close to the situation. It's going to be all about how he feels and how he heals. It's a comfort thing. It's a mobility thing. And I just think at this point it's day to day. Evan Williams was told on Evan Williams, even though he didn't finish the game, and I never know what to believe on this, but was told that he was held out as a preventative measure more than anything and should be good to go this week. Jair, I'm going through all my texts with my people here as I'm doing this. Jair showed nothing bad. We'll probably have to monitor the soreness this week. Haven't heard anything for the weekend. And Josh Jacobs sounds like there was no issue. Sounds like he is good to go.
Okay, so he just got rolled into.
All things considered, pretty good news, right, going into a big game. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to play. But from a long-term standpoint, doesn't seem like there's anything major with any of them.
Well, that's good. So, because, I don't think we need a rocket science to answer this, but, you know this better than anyone. If those four don't play, we could cross Jacobs out of this because he's going to play. But if those three don't play this football game, it's going to be tough sledding against Detroit.
Yeah, it's going to be tough sledding anyway. As the Packers game was going on, and you know how it is as a player when you're playing, you have no idea what's really going on in the other games. But up in the press box, we're obviously covering the game, but also trying to figure out how Detroit is scoring, drive after drive after drive. I think the Packers game was like it was the score was in the teens. Maybe it was 2017, and Detroit already had 42 points on the way to 50 plus. So that thing is that's an impressive operation that they have going on there. It's going to take the Packers' best game to beat them. Even if they have everybody. It does not seem like they have, suffered from losing Aiden Hutchinson in such a major way yet. Although, we'll see, if they can get pressure against the really good teams. But this is going to be a hard one anyway. The problem, Brian, in my feeling is, you're a half a game behind them, a full game in the loss column. If you lose this one, then you fall 2 games behind. You still have to go there. You still have to go to Minnesota, and then obviously you have Chicago twice. So you don't want to fall too far behind in the division. I think they're obviously in a very good spot. I think right now it's early, but I think right now the Packers would be in the top wild card spot. If it ended today, they'd be the 5th seed. They would actually have to go to Arizona, who I think is, or is it San Francisco? Who's leading the NFC West?
I think it's San Fran after last night. Yeah. I think it's San Fran after last night.
Yeah. So,
Arizona and San Fran tied. So I guess technically Arizona because they won, right? They beat San Francisco earlier in the year?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So, can you imagine that? Having to go to Arizona, a team you blew out at home. But anyway, that's why the division is so important. You just don't want to be going on the road, from the start of the playoffs. They did it last year in Dallas, and they were okay there, but then they had to go to San Fran, and we all know what happened. So even though this is only a Week 9 game and the bye is coming up, this to me is the biggest game of the season to date.
Yeah, so what do you see from when – I guess maybe not what you see from guys, but what when you talk to Matt LaFleur after the game, listen – Strophy and I said it, you're happy about a win, but there has to be a little bit of I'm not saying disappointment, but there has to be a little bit of hey, what are we doing here right now? We did this against the Rams, and now we did it again against the Jags, and these aren't good football teams, but we're not playing good ball against bad teams.
No, you hit it on the head, and not so much with LaFleur, but in the locker room yesterday, Brian, I talked to several players. Tucker Kraft sounded really disappointed in the offense. Elton Jenkins said they have to do a lot better. And then Xavier McKinney, I'm trying to see if I can find the exact quote from him. He was not happy. Here it is. we didn't play well enough today. I think as a team, we didn't play well enough, and we know it. We're going to enjoy this one, but we've got to get back in there because we have a big game coming up. We made too many mistakes that we typically don't make. We've got to tighten things up. So, there's a real feeling in this locker room that, yeah, they're 6-2, but that they have not necessarily done the things, that they need to do to be considered a legit contender. However, at the end of Tucker Kraft's Tucker spent a long time with us yesterday, and he's been really good. Finally, when the group kind of dispersed, I said, boy, you seem kind of down on your team right now. Where do you think you are? And he said, well, he goes, you know how losing teams that are like 2-6 always say we're the best 2-6 team in football. He goes, I think we're the best 6-2 team in football. We just have to show it.
Yeah. Which, hey, listen, I think they're a good football team, but we also said this early in the program before you got on. There's expectations, and when there's expectations, people talk about certain things when you have games like that. And listen, I dealt with it my entire time in Green Bay. If we were to go to a 2-5 team and escape out of there with a game winner, it's not going to be good and cozy, fuzzy questions coming out after that game, and it's not going to be a good feeling. So when there's a lot of expectations and you got a lot of good football players in that locker room, I mean, you expect to go out there and take care of business, kind of like Detroit did, and it just hasn't been happening against the lesser or so opponents, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah. I'm curious. How do the coaches react in a film session or a grading session when you do exactly what you said? You go out, you get a win, but maybe against a lower tier team, and you didn't play well. What's the grading process like for you guys as players, and then how do you guys react to it when you have a bigger game coming up next week? Take us inside there, Brian, because that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, listen, if this was a one-off, they would still, listen, mistakes get made, but this has happened a couple times now, and I think they're going to be, or what would have happened today, I think they got graded hard today. And I think there was a lot of guys, because to have that tight of a game against Jacksonville, there's a lot of mistakes that happen. McKinney said it, offensively and defensively. There's a lot of negative things that happen that maybe is not for everyone to know or see, but in the film, it's there. So I think they've been critical, and they know they have to be critical, not critical to tear guys down, but critical enough to put guys on alert that, hey, we got someone coming in here next week, and if we do that, we're not going to like how this game goes for us. Right. And that's the truth, right?
I was going to say, I think that to me, the reaction that we heard from some of the quotes that I read, to me, that's the encouraging thing is that this team they're not shying away from what, from I don't want to say limitations because they're not limited, but maybe things that haven't gone quite as well as they wanted. And I think if you're, looking at the way this team could react this week, to me, that's a really positive sign that, and my guess is that that's probably, I don't think we saw LaFleur's post-game video. Maybe they only do that at home games after wins, where they take you inside for a little bit of the post-game speech to the team. And if it was out there, I missed it. But my guess is that was LaFleur's message to the team. And because when you get something that's echoed by so many different players about how, we won the game, but, there were so many things that we didn't do and that we need to do. Whether it was LaFleur's messaging or the players coming up with it on their own, to me, I think that's an encouraging sign about how they're going to approach this week.
Yeah, real quick, Rob, you must have missed it because LaFleur was pretty optimistic and positive. He said the S word a lot, words we can't say in front of the FCC. But he was proud of special teams. He highlighted special teams and how they've got a field flipper and wheel in, and how McManus did it again. But overall, to your point, I fully agree with you. Right, the attitude that this team has is that flat out wasn't good enough, and clearly won't.
Alex, you never know what they edit out of that too.
That's true.
They clearly didn't edit the S words out. But they probably edited. I can tell you this: that they show those clips, and they're about anywhere from 45 to 90 seconds.
Right.
And Bryan will tell you, and we can tell you when we're waiting outside the locker room going in, he talks for a lot longer than that. So there's definitely a lot that we don't.
Does he give long spiels, Brian? Like, is he a long-winded guy?
It depends on the situation, and I think what happened against Jacksonville would be one where he said a couple extra things. Because listen, like we've said, you want to congratulate your football team on winning a game. It's hard to win in the NFL. And I'm the first one to say that. But after the congratulating on winning a football game, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed after a game like that against an inferior opponent. And that's essentially probably what he was going through and explaining to them from what he saw from the first take, on the sideline watching the game and going through everything. So he normally gets to the point, at least from what I remember in my 1 year with him. And that's why I really liked him, because he got to the point. But there were times when there were games that we should have done better in. Week 1 against the Bears, when we won 7-10, he was a little more long-winded in that because he was disappointed in the offense. So, it depends on how this game goes and how the game plays out. Yeah, he could be a little more long-winded and a little more direct with certain things, and that's probably what happened after the Jacksonville game.
Interesting.
Hey, speaking of long-winded, I don't know if you guys caught it, but I took a shot at Wilde in the post-game press conference.
Tell us more.
There was Pete Doherty from the Press Gazette was the one that asked LaFleur if that was a can play, the 51-yarder to Reed, and LaFleur was he was just so impressed with Pete's knowledge that it was a check and all this. And so I followed up with it by saying, at the risk of sounding like Wilde, and then I went on with a longer question that involved Pete, because Wilde likes to involve all the people in the media. So I hope Wilde saw that I took a shot at him, because
that's fantastic.
What's a good shot at somebody if they don't hear it?
That's 100% true. Well, at least you shared it with us. Always gold. Rob, appreciate the time, brother. We'll be talking to you later in the week. All right.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll be seeing you.
That's the great Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, covering all things green and gold. Brian and I will wrap up the Homer Hour coming up next. We've got some other takeaways from that game we haven't dove into quite yet, because the quarterback leaving the game ahead of the biggest game of the season, that's kind of a big storyline. We will dive into some of the other takeaways from the Packers' win over the Jaguars 30-27 yesterday in week number 8 of the NFL season. Hey, you never apologize about winning. Packers are 6-2. We're not going to apologize, but a big one coming up this weekend. We wrap up the Homer Hour after this.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Tracked from the Rocco.
Oh, what channel the game is on?
Perhaps I can be of some assistance.
Oh?
Open up the ESPN app. Just use the Where to Watch feature. You see it? It's right there in the corner, the little TV icon.
The what? Where to watch?
Yeah, it has all the games that are on with the channel listed right next to it. A complete game changer. I'm telling you. You just click on the icon. Every game currently happening or coming up is right there.
Finally. So long channel surfing.
Where to Watch on the ESPN app. Find it in your app store today.
There's a good chance you're on a budget. We all are. But she wants a diamond. You know it. I know it. And Robert Hack Diamonds knows it too, because they offer a huge collection of lab-grown diamonds, and they sell them at crazy prices. How about 2-carat total weight diamond studs for $8.95? Robert Hack Diamonds can get any size, shape, or clarity in natural or lab-grown diamonds. Don't buy until you call Robert Hack Diamonds. $8.95 for a 2-carat pair of diamond studs. Oh, baby! Robert Hack Diamonds in Greenfield and in Brookfield. Why overspend when you can save at Robert Hack Diamonds for the same diamond you're looking for? Some jewelers are charging nearly $5,000 for a lab-grown diamond. Not Robert Hack. Your visit will be worth it, and she'll think so too. Robert Hack also offers repair services and cash for your old gold. But remember, before you do anything, as I did, RobertHackDiamonds.com, and visit them in Brookfield or in Greenfield.
It takes a team to meet just about any goal, and that's as true on the football field as it is in the office. So it's good to know that you have the Gordon Flesh Company on your side. For more than 60 years, GFC has provided cutting-edge office technology for companies of all sizes, and as the nation's largest Canon dealer, GFC delivers the latest office technology, service, and is supported by the most experienced professionals in the industry. That's business technology managed. Visit gflesh.com to learn more.
It's time for the Marquette Minute on 94.5 ESPN. Marquette fans, join David Joplin and Chase Ross at the Sussex Piggly Wiggly on Friday, November 1st at 7 p.m. Piggly Wiggly, shop the pig.
Well, the regular season is fast approaching for Marquette men's basketball, and the Golden Eagles are looking to improve upon their third-round appearance in the NCAA tournament last season. However, they'll have to do it without Tyler Kolek and Oso Ighodaro. Here's head coach Shaka Smart.
With Tyler and Oso moving on, it certainly is going to be an evolution for us, players and coaches, to figure out exactly with this group what the right way is to maximize who we have and to really reach our upper limit.
The season tips off on Monday, November 4th. It's Marquette against Stony Brook. Catch the action right here on your home of Marquette basketball all season long, 94.5 ESPN.
This has been the Marquette Minute on 94.5 ESPN. Join Chase and Chop at Sussex Piggly Wiggly Friday, November 1st at 7 p.m. Piggly Wiggly, shop the pig.
Blaine's Farm and Fleet's Fall Workwear event is going on now. We've got unbeatable deals on quality boots and apparel to help your hard-earned dollars go further. Like men's Dickies Rugged Flex Pants, $5 off. Shop our new assortment of Brunt work boots in-store now. Get $30 in Carhartt bucks for every $125 you spend on Carhartt gear. See store for details. Plus, shop unbeatable toy deals in Blaine's Farm and Fleet's Toyland. Now open.
Find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
It's bird bashing season when you swoop into Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to a wicked 50 grand cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card all October for entries. All Bird Bash entries go towards a December 20th giveaway with a monstrous 300 grand in prizes. Bird Bash makes its bewitching return. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Learn more at paysbig.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Tune in to Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Behind the Bucks dives deep into Bucks and Six, a culture unknowingly created by former Bucks star Brandon Jennings. Take a look inside the Brandon Jennings story, the origin of Bucks and Six, how it became the rallying cry, and what it means to Jennings and Bucks fans alike. Find Behind the Bucks on bucks.com/plus, Plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get your podcasts. Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher. It's the Homer Hour with you on your Victory Monday. Alex drove in for the Emmy Award winner alongside Super Bowl champion Bryan Bulaga, the doctor of football, here on a Victory Monday that doesn't fully feel like a Victory Monday. Isn't that a little strange, Brian? I feel like we should be happy and upbeat, but with Jordan Love going out and the Packers winning ugly, it doesn't really feel like a full-blown Victory Monday.
Yeah, and like I had this as a player as well. There's times you win and you walk out of the film review on Monday and you feel icky. You never feel icky about winning a game, but just the performance. You know, there's so much more you could have done or played so much better and really taking care of business earlier in that game. And that's probably how they're feeling. And I guess as someone who follows them, and so do you, and a lot of people do, clearly, they feel the same way. And obviously it's different levels to how the fans would feel compared to how the players would feel based on what they're seeing and doing. But I think it's fair to say both sides know there's more out there for this team, right? There's better football to be played, and there's a lot more to achieve for this team. So I think while there is a little bit of a, bummer today, and not a bummer from, oh my gosh, the world's ending, like that we only beat the Jags by 3, but just that, like, we should have beat the Jags by 21. We should have beat them by 4. Like, there's just that out there. And then obviously you said it with Jordan Love being injured, Jair, Evan Williams, like these guys getting banged up going into the biggest game of the season so far. Yeah, that's also a downer. So like there's a couple things, but we just got to look at it, and 6-2 is 6-2. Mm-hmm. And I get it hasn't been pretty, but 6-2 is 6-2, and we'll handle this week as it comes. And that's the best you can do.
What's your biggest concern for this Packers team through 8 weeks? You're about halfway through the season. Is it the pass rush? They've struggled to get, at the quarterback, rushing only 4. Is it the injuries now that are starting to pile up after it seemed like they were pretty healthy entering yesterday's game? What remains the biggest concern for you, Bryan Bulaga?
So, I don't know if I look at it from a specific, position group or a player or injuries sometimes are unavoidable.
Right.
Which kind of what we saw this weekend. I think the thing that I just look at is just consistency, right? And I get some could ask, well, what do you mean? We're 6-2. How's that not? No, that is good. But there's things that you watch in a game, and when a team plays, a certain level of consistency that they play with, that you want to see. And when a team shows it in some games and then doesn't show it in the next game, that's the one thing that would concern me, right? We see a really good football team, and we'll say they've played really good in probably 2, maybe 3, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe 2, maybe 3 games. The Malik Willis games are, man, those are really fun to watch, and how they rallied around and played a different style was really fun. So, okay, we'll say 4. I think we could say they played really good games out of the 6. So that leaves 2 games that are wins against lesser opponents that makes you go, what's going on here? So it's not that a big concern or a thing that I'm that much worried about midway through the season, but that's the one thing that I'm looking at. I just want to see a little more consistency, a little more identity of this is who we are, this is how we're going to play, this is what you're going to get week in and week out.
I thought that was the word you were missing, and you got it in right at the end there. Identity, right? It doesn't feel like this team necessarily has one. Now, obviously, they've gone through some weird triumphs and tribulations, right? Jordan Love missed a couple of games, as you mentioned. The defense is still trying to really find their footing under a new defensive coordinator. And to your point, it feels like there's only really been, one game where it was a complete 60 minutes of complimentary football, and that was that Arizona game we keep highlighting. But you've got your big win, right? You've got the Houston one under the belt. You're winning games you should be. Indianapolis, Tennessee, the Rams, yesterday against the Jags. They haven't looked dominant, but they've looked good enough, and they still are certainly in the championship contender conversation here as we prepare for a big one this weekend against the Lions, Blue.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've said it. You take the wins and you correct the mistakes and hope to improve and move on from them, and it's going to take everybody in that building's going to need to be ready to go on Sunday, because this is the type of game that, I know it's early, but these types of games, like we kind of said about Houston, but this is in a different realm, is a tone setter, right? These types of games can set you on a different trajectory in a season, and that's what I'm looking for in this game with the Packers, that they can get something done before the bye week that puts them in another trajectory.
No doubt about it. We'll hear more from Bryan Bulaga Thursday on the Homer Hour. Up next here on ESPN Milwaukee, you've got the Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Mondays with Greg Matzik and Gary Ellerson. I'm Alex Strobe. Have a great rest of your night. This has been the Homer Hour.
Things are winding down nicely. We just have some delays westbound 94.